Welcome back to Real Estate Without Borders. Today we're traveling to Panama. So that song is like I wanted to sing it. You know that I'm thinking that Panama song. Anyway, we're joined here by Sabrinna, who is an expert in helping people with real estate transactions in that market. Can you give us a quick rundown on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I'm very excited. I love talking about Panama. I love sharing what I know. So thank you. Yeah, I've been in real estate now for like 5 years. First, I was in Ontario, and then I moved here about 3 years ago and started to just work with international buyers to help them explore Panama and move here, open bank accounts, basically anything like related to offshore. So not just real estate, but yeah, and I'm loving it. And I just want to help more people and keep doing it.
I love it. Thanks for coming on the show. Also, Foch, can you sing that
Thank
song
you.
or no? Are you?
Ma,
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
I do.
Ma,
Is that Van Halen?
is it Van Halen? I don't know.
I don't know.
Is that
Dan
seriously
Halen?
what
Did
he
you say it
said?
was Dan Halen? Isn't it Panama? Yeah.
Well,
Huh.
Sabrina,
Panama by Van Halen, yeah.
that's
It's
right.
called
I
the
didn't
song's
realize
called
he's
Panama.
actually saying Panama
Yeah,
until
oh, yeah.
right now when you just sang it.
Yeah. That should be in your Instagram bio. Like when people click in, remember MySpace when you click on people's pages and it like had a song? Yours should be.
That would be perfect.
I'll send a message to my Instagram people. But yeah, thanks for coming. It's cool to have you on here because obviously you have ties to Canada. And I think what you're doing, a lot of people are envious of, and it looks really cool. And I love that you're documenting your journey. And again, just like
Trying to.
it's challenging for sure. But it's true. Like I get probably that similar feedback as to you, as a lot of people are very curious as to what I'm doing, and same with you.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, it means a lot that you made the time for us today.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'm very excited to dive in.
I'm curious, like, I think let's start it off with what's kind of happening in Panama, because I think this is something that's not covered a lot in like the general public, especially in our circles. Everybody's very curious about it, but no one really fully understands. That's why we created this podcast, really, honestly, just to provide insights on what's happening in other markets, because at the end of the day, if you can understand other markets, you can also bring that home as well. So
Totally.
I want to ask you a few questions, like, obviously, what would walk me through what some average price points are in Panama? Okay, like, and when I say Panama, that's a country.
Yes.
Let's get specific here because I'm not a big
Yes.
geography guy.
Okay.
Where are
This
you
is
located?
Okay. Yes.
This is part real estate podcast, part Dave Learns Geography podcast.
I have Google Maps open, so fire at me.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Okay. Panama, you have obviously you have the city, which is the hottest market, I would say, right now. You have homes that are ranging from, I would say, around so there's definitely a big range. You have the luxury, the middle, and of course like the lower, more affordable range. But it's anywhere from, for the higher ends, I would say it starts at like $2,000 to $3,500 per square meter.
Per square meter.
So for our Canadian listeners, this is like $200 to $350 per square foot.
Okay.
And those are, in areas, so like more prime areas like Punta Pacifica, Costa del Este. Those are known as more of like the higher end luxury areas.
Within Panama City?
Yeah, so within Panama City, yes.
Cool.
So think like closer to the water, just to kind of paint a picture for you.
Right.
Think like the Trump Tower. There was a Trump Towers there, which is now called JW Marriott because they completely just ex-nayed Trump.
Yeah, same thing happened in Toronto, right?
So that's like more the higher end luxury areas, like closer to the water. So you have, the beautiful view of the Pacific. So anywhere from like $2,000 to $3,500 per square meter. And then yeah, you do have the mid-range. So like areas like San Francisco, where you can find things for $1,500 per square meter. There's a big range. Like you can find a condo here for $100,000, and you can find a condo here for $4 million. It really depends on what you're looking for.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go on.
One thing I'm curious about, like personally, is how, obviously I'm not going to get like the specific numbers, but I think a lot of these cities, like Panama, in my opinion, where people maybe flocked to during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed a change, like a drastic change in price points, or even like what's happening in the market from, let's say, the pandemic to today?
Yeah, there really hasn't been honestly much of a difference. Like the market in Panama has been pretty flat historically. It's been pretty steady. There hasn't been a crazy amount of dips. Definitely now, like the pandemic, of course, impacted everywhere, and especially the lack of travel that was permitted. But now you can see that demand is definitely rising from foreign buyers. Prices are slowly driving back up, but it's still pretty steady and it's still very affordable.
Cool. Who, just off the top of my head, what's your buyer profile? Like, what country are they from? Like, what are they looking to do? Are they investors? Are they kind of like end users, or maybe doing what you're doing? Both.
Yeah, there's a big mix. Like you definitely have a lot of investors coming in who are purchasing more pre-construction. And I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about the short-term market and everything, but they're purchasing pre-construction because there's a lot more leniency with putting it on Airbnb. And the returns are just much higher. And then you do have, the retirees. There's tons of retirees who are looking, they want something already done, and they're not really looking in the city. They're looking in areas like Boquete, in areas like the beach areas, the mountain areas. But yeah, there's a big mix, really. You have expats from all over the world, like not just expats from North America. There's people from other areas of South America. There's people from Europe. There's a big mix.
Cool. You mentioned Airbnb. I'm sure it's in my questions somewhere here, but I want to jump into it because I'm super curious. You mentioned that
Yes.
if they buy pre-sale, that there are no restrictions. Does that mean that there are restrictions on the resale side?
Yes, there are. Yeah. There's regulations for Airbnb only in Panama City. The only exception to this is, and I guess, sorry, I shouldn't just say Airbnb. It's just short-term rentals. So anything less than 45 days. The only exception to this is an area called Casco Viejo, which is the historic area. So there's no restrictions here. You can Airbnb, your house, your condo, whatever. However, where it gets a bit more strict is with older buildings. So basically, the building has to be zoned for tourism. So a lot of these older buildings, they're not zoned for tourism. So they're not allowed to be on Airbnb. Yes, of course, like you're going to see there's loopholes, some operate under the radar, but they're not legally supposed to.
Right.
However, the newer developments, like take that one, for example, the second one that is there, that is a newer building.
This guy.
So that's not in the historic district, but it's a newer building that has the developer went through the proper process to get basically the license for the building to be permitted to be used for Airbnb.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it looks
anywhere
like it's
else,
almost like it feels like a purpose-built Airbnb, like even just like with the way the pool's designed, with the view, and like even the room size and stuff like that. Like, interesting.
Exactly. That's exactly what the developments are doing. Like they're much smaller, and they are really designed just for expats and for tourists.
Is that a viable investment? Like, is that something that you see a lot of capital coming from the US and Canada buying and success? Like, what would my return be if I bought that? So I'm going to buy it. Am I going to buy it cash, or do I put a do I get a mortgage? Like, walk me through that process.
Yeah, seriously, the newer constructions, they're bringing in like 8 to 12% returns. Like the numbers are pretty shocking. Like some of the ones that are already complete, so Panama City, it doesn't really get impacted by the seasons. There's always people coming here. There's always tourists coming here. There's always like multinational companies kind of setting up shop here. So they're sending their employees, and those employees need somewhere to live. It doesn't really matter the time of year. Like I saw a Airbnb report from last year during the rainy season. So like June, July, August, September. And this one unit was grossing like $2,500 US a month, 90% occupancy, like during the thick of the rainy season, which is, known as the lower season.
Oh, that's pretty decent.
And the process is pretty straightforward. Like you see something that you like, you basically reserve the unit. So you pay like $2,000 usually to just reserve the unit, and
US,
then you have yes. So all numbers I'm going to talk about are all in USD. you pay $2,000 to reserve the unit, then you have 30 days to actually sign the contract. Once you sign the contract is when you have to pay 10% of the purchase price, like less the amount you already paid to reserve it. And then for foreigners, like the total down payment is 30%. And then you can finance the remaining 70%, or you can, pay in cash or whatever.
So for the 30 days, I'm guessing that's like their due diligence period, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And it's kind of like, it's also your sort of like decision-making process, I guess. It's like if you're 100% sure that you want to, because as soon as you sign the contract, obviously you sign the contract and you're,
Like legally bound.
to start paying the actual cost of the unit. But you can find like these.
No,
Sorry,
go ahead.
go on.
No,
I was just going to say that.
No, now you go. That's the Mexican internet right there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. These like newer developments, like you can find something small, like let's say even like a studio, which is tiny, but might be good for just an investor for like $120,000.
Cool. Yeah, it's a similar process.
Yeah.
You review contracts, and then once you review the contract, you sign the contract, then you have to put your down payment. What is, on the topic of pre-sale, since we're on it, what's like the payment structure for a pre-sale versus buying something in resale? What did the Australian guy call it? Foch? Not resale. He had the most hilarious name. Anyways, secondhand homes. That's what he said. He's like, I do a lot of secondhand homes. Like, all right. He's the best. He's the funniest dude. Honestly, I'll send you his stuff after. He's hilarious.
But it was funny.
So okay. Yeah. So for
secondhand,
is there a difference between
secondhand
the buying process of pre-sale versus something that's already existing?
That's and hilarious. What's that? That's hilarious. Yeah, sort of. So with the pre-sale, obviously you have more time to pay the down payment. So if basically after you sign the contract and you pay the first 10%, from the moment you sign the contract up until you get delivered the keys, you can kind of like structure a payment plan with the developer to pay the remainder of the down payment. So you have more time. And like if something's, going to be done in 2028, you have 3 years to actually finish paying that 30% down payment. And most developers will work with you to figure out some sort of payment plan that works, like whether it's every month, every 2 months or whatever, that you have to pay that remaining 70%, either financing or in cash. And then for resale, it's obviously, it's a bit different. Resale is kind of like a bit of a shit show in Panama.
Sounds like Mexico too. Like Dave's described Mexico like kind of that way. Is there like no like MLS and stuff like that? Like I'm sure you saw. I pulled up like Realtor.com had some listings, but like
no, that's yes, that is a challenge. There's not like you'll Google it and there is technically a centralized MLS system, but nobody uses it. It's not where you're going to find anything. So nobody actually regulates it. It's just like, why do you even have this? Right. Resale, it's like most sellers, like they want you to pay in cash. It's a much longer process, like from the moment you find something. And it's also, the process itself is a lot different than what we're used to in US and Canada. Like the lawyer basically handles everything. There's no like third party title company who's going to protect you to make sure the property has titles and no liens or anything like that. So it's the lawyer. So you have to make sure hire a good lawyer, hire a good real estate agent, because they're your only safeguards.
In Mexico, it's a bit different because it's kind of similar, but we have notaries. We use notaries to close, and the notaries do have title insurance and everything like that. So
so same idea. Yeah, the lawyer, like the lawyer has to be a notary as well. I forget the right term. It's like not all lawyers are notaries, but all notaries are lawyers or something like that. I don't know if I might be saying it wrong.
No.
I think all lawyers would be a notary. I think all lawyers can notarize stuff, but you can also get a separate notary license where you can just notarize, but you can't do like lawyer work. Right. Yeah. It's interesting. Like another kind of like headwind that I've just observed in trying to click around and learn as much as I can about Panama on this call, and like some of the stuff that I've been screen sharing, is there's like no data. Like I went to like AirDNA. AirDNA like doesn't even cover Panama City. That's like what I use to analyze like Airbnb investments.
Me too. Yeah,
And then
me too.
and yeah, so I mean like that alone is just a fascinating, like you're almost like flying blind. I guess that's where you really need like the help of like a professional like yourself who actually like gets the market and knows these like data points, right?
Yeah. And I will say, like, the reason why this is strongly because like Panama they've never really relied on anything from foreigners to sustain their economy. Like they've never relied on tourism. They've never relied on foreign investment because of all the money they make from the canal. So they're just very behind on all of this. So there's not a lot of data out there. It's true.
Interesting. I'm maybe because you mentioned the Panama Canal, and like I mean, I think Donald Trump seems to think that they do rely on them for protection and stuff. What seems to be the sentiment around that in Panama right now, like with some of the changes that are being proposed? I mean, I guess he's proposing changes for everyone in the world right now, but it sounds a bit. But like, what's going on with that? Can you give me 30,000 feet? What's
there hasn't really been. So, okay, Panamanians are very prideful people who they very much value their country and they have a lot of pride for their country. And they don't really seem to be caring, to be honest with you, about what Trump says. There's not been any like protests. Like there would be protests if there was seriously a chance that something like this could happen. But like it doesn't really seem to be affecting anybody here. People are actually kind of laughing about the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess that they're like, the idea would be, it really is just like who ends up having sort of like corporate or like economic control over the Panama Canal, which like, I don't even know if it is so much in the hands of China as is being implied there. So I guess it, like you said, like it probably wouldn't really change the outcome. Like they're still it still exists within their country, and it's not like it's going to really have a major impact on them, other than like maybe just more and more people hearing the name. Like it's kind of like us with Canada too, right? It's like, a lot of
The one thing is that's true. It's like Panama hasn't got this much attention since like they built the canal. Like they're very under the radar, but now
when the boat was stuck, I feel like there was some attention too. You remember when the boat was stuck? Was that last year?
Yes, because I think it was because of last year's rainy season was like very, very dry, and there was actually a drought in the canal, and they could only allow like one boat at a time, and it definitely affected the amount of how busy the canal was last year. So that's probably what you're
it says 2023, a major traffic jam occurred at the Panama Canal due to a severe drought, resulting in over 200 ships being stuck and facing delays with some vessels. So I was thinking of the other one where the boat got stuck sideways but that was actually the Suez Canal, which is a different canal. So it shows how little I know about this stuff.
But this was like big news because like you look outside to the Pacific, like where the entrance of the canal is, because like you can see it from a lot of areas in the city, and there was just like hundreds of massive ships just waiting for their turn to go through the canal. It was wild.
Like a yacht week in Mykonos, but for okay, cool.
Goods.
Yeah, like I wonder what they were up to.
Send some sugar babies out on those ships.
That's right. Book a flight.
Okay. Fascinating. Okay, cool. So what do people need to know? Like, well, actually, before I like jump in, maybe more specific on the transaction, but like, who's buying the most of this stuff? Is it Americans? Is it Canadians? Is it European capital? Like where's the most like the biggest source of foreign investment that you're seeing going into Panama right now?
And I want to add to that. Sorry, are there restrictions on the foreign buyers? Like, or any sort of restrictions? So who's buying, and are there restrictions?
Yeah. Like everybody is buying. There's people from Canada, the US. I would say that's the highest amount of people buying right now is people from Canada and the States. There are people from Europe who are coming, and there are people from like Colombia and other areas of South America who want to get out of a more unstable country and come to Panama. And it's, like I said earlier, it's a big mix. Like you have investors, but you also have families who kind of want to relocate here, and then you have retirees, or you have digital nomads, entrepreneurs who want to incorporate here and use that towards getting their residency and come here. So there's a big mix.
Is there
And what was the
tax
second
incentives?
part?
Like when you said, are there tax incentives for somebody to move? Because I mean, you always hear about like the Panama Papers, right? Like all those politicians like
Yeah,
using Panama
yeah,
to like, launder money and stuff. So like I'm assuming there has to be some sort of like tax incentive. I think a lot of people go there for
yeah.
tax residency as well, right?
They do, yeah. So it's territorial. So any money that you make outside of Panama that comes into Panama, you don't pay any taxes. It's only when you start making money, like, if you're making money in Panama that you're taxed, and it's pretty low. I think it's like 18% is the max. But yeah, that it's a huge incentive because like if somebody has an online business, for example, it doesn't really matter where they're like headquartered. It's so easy to just incorporate here and open a bank account here and just move your money legally to
So
another country.
so they okay, so it's like a free zones, right? So if they, I guess if
Yeah,
money's coming in from outside
yeah,
of Panama, then
yeah,
there's no tax on that.
correct. Yeah,
Crazy. That
yeah.
actually makes all right, I guess I'm off to Panama next then.
Dave's just
Just Googling how to
just
get
gonna
my
keep running
residency.
around until eventually somebody makes him pay tax.
So the CRA is watching this episode for me.
Yeah, so okay, so this is cool. Is there do the local residents seem to be receptive to like foreign capital coming into buying? I mean, I know like in Canada when we had like record population growth, people weren't stoked about it. I mean, I think
Yeah.
2016, 2017, there was like a little bit of reluctance. Then we did the foreign buyer bans and taxes and stuff like
Hmm.
and some countries, Portugal, Spain as an example, housing affordability got really bad. Like is there any inkling that something like that could take place?
I don't think so. Like, of course, like who knows? And yeah, that's kind of what happens. Like more people who are investing, more foreigners who are investing, it's likely to drive up the prices. But based on like what we're seeing, like historically, that hasn't really been the case. And I just think now Panama has always had people come to it from all over the world. It's just now
Mm-hmm.
it's getting on people's radar. It's now we're
Mm-hmm.
hearing about it, but it's always been happening the last like 10 years. And still it's been pretty like relatively affordable still, and the market's been pretty steady. So we'll see.
I feel like it's unique in like South and Central or sorry Central America or Latin America where it's got like a really big metropolitan like almost Americanized city
Yeah.
a little bit where it
Yeah.
feels like
Yeah.
like a Miami. Maybe that's wrong. I've never been,
Oh,
so
no,
like
no,
but
that's like how I
yeah,
describe it. Yeah.
yeah. Hopefully like less like douche culture and like share Lambo
Yeah.
sharing
Very
and stuff like
much.
yeah.
that. But
Yeah. No, that's not a thing.
Lots
The
of rented
cars
Lambos.
here
no,
are
Miami
mangled.
without douchebags sounds like amazing. Like that's like so
Yeah.
awesome.
Great weather. Yeah. No
That's a
tax.
big sales pitch right there. No crypto bros.
Yeah. 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 Yet,
What's
actually, because crypto is starting to come up here.
I'm curious. I kind of want to like dive into just like how like the real estate practices are different. You know, like how you actually transact in Panama versus
Hmm.
Canada and the US because I feel like maybe it's a bit different. So like, are there any like what are the key differences in how properties are structured? You know, like are there anything that because since you've transacted in both countries, is there anything that stands out to you
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting? Yeah.
Um, yeah, like it's definitely different, but I would say like overall, like the actual documents and the process isn't that much different. I would say
Right.
like the big the big difference is, so in the US and Canada you have, obviously you have the buyer sign like a standardized like agreement of purchase and sale that is issued by the real estate association, but like that's not really how it is done in Panama. Like in Panama it's basically the lawyers, like lawyers draft the contracts, meaning that the terms can be different. Like there's not one document that is always the same and you're just filling in the blanks. The terms are always going to be different because you might have a different lawyer writing it up. So it's a
Right.
bit of it's not very structured, I guess you would say.
It's the same here actually.
And
Like yeah.
no, go on, sorry.
No, it's the same thing here in Mexico. It kind of depends on like which developer you're buying from, and then like you said,
Yeah,
which notary is. It's like I could
exactly.
sell 3 units in the same building, and depending on who their individual lawyer is, the contract would be like a little
Yeah,
bit different. It's crazy.
exactly. Yeah.
Are then
Yeah, but I guess
are most of like okay, so are most of the sales for like what you're seeing, are most of the transactions pre-sale or like resale, like existing structures? What's more common? What are more of these foreign buyers looking at right now?
The foreign buyers are more looking at pre-sale because there's a lot more, it's much more attractive for an investor, especially because like you buy something and you don't even have to really worry about it. Like they have property managers, they have people taking care of the property, and it's attractive for people who aren't planning on coming here at all. However, like, yeah, these newer developments, they are a lot smaller, especially in Panama City. So somebody who
Right.
wants to live here, they're going to probably look more towards resale
Got it.
and maybe
Okay.
tap into like the long-term rentals instead of short-term.
Is there a price spread between your pre-con and resale, like compared to like similar, you know, in Toronto, like pre-con's like what 20% plus on resale? What is the spread there, like for pre-construction?
Yeah,
Over
I would say it's higher. It's definitely higher. It still ends up being pretty affordable, but for like a small, let's say like 45 square meter pre-sale condo, you can buy that for like $160,000. Whereas if you were buying a resale, you could buy like a much bigger condo in probably around the same area.
For like a similar price point.
Yeah, like something more with more space, might even have, 2 bedrooms and anywhere from like more like 90 square meters, whereas a pre-sale is a lot smaller.
What's the rental market like? Like I know you mentioned Airbnb has a bit of restrictions on certain investments.
Mm-hmm.
What
Mm-hmm.
are any of your clients, or are you seeing anything where it's like the investors are looking to buy and then get their property into like the long-term rental game? Is that something that's kind of
Yeah.
profitable? Or, yeah.
Yeah, so this really depends. Like if you're buying like a mid-range condo, say for like $180,000, you might only be able to rent that out for like $1,000 to $1,300 a month.
Okay.
So it's not amazing. Like the long-term rentals is actually, it's very affordable for somebody like me, say coming from Canada where the rental market's
Right.
crazy, but for a landlord, it might not be that attractive. But then you do have like the higher end condos where are a higher price point to buy, like let's say 250 to 300.
Got it.
Those you can rent out for like $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
Okay.
So there's
Cool.
a big mix. Like some condos are furnished, some are unfurnished. Some landlords like furnish it with the most disgusting furniture that like, of course, nobody's going to want to pay a lot for
Right.
this. They don't have that like realization that if you just invested a little bit more up front to make the place look nicer, if you're furnishing it, you're going to be able to get like $500 more per month.
Yeah, that's honestly, I say this a lot. I'm actually pretty vocal about it, like on my social media, because it's funny when you're investing in like the U.S. or Canada, it seems like people are more analytical with their investments, and then when they come to like Panama, Mexico, it seems that a lot of people buy based off of price alone, which is crazy. And then I just did a
Yes.
video of this. It's like you buy the lowest price point property because that's all you're looking at is price, and then you put zero effort into it. You put zero staging, zero photos, and it's like
Yeah.
you can't put subpar photos, subpar furniture, and subpar everything and then expect excellent results. It's the same.
Exactly.
It's similar to investing anywhere in the world. And when you're getting into
So true.
Airbnb, like you're getting into hospitality, and
Yeah. Exactly.
you can't expect some subpar condo to with subpar furniture to perform with excellent results.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I'm sure you see the
1000%.
same thing.
It's
Um,
so true.
I have a question about like the because like in Mexico, for example, we don't build down. There's no like underground parking. It's actually crazy. In Mexico, there's a lot of stone. So the soil is very thin and then it's like stone.
Okay.
So they don't really
Oh,
build
wow.
down. Yeah, it's crazy. So our build time here is very quick. Like a 40 unit condo complex would take realistically like the longest 2 years, maybe a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Mm-hmm.
build time for, because I think, and also our height restriction in Tulum specifically is 5 stories. So for Panama,
Oh, really?
yeah, I see it's a bigger city. So like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what's build time for you, and like, what's that kind of look like?
Yeah. Yeah. Build time is fast too. So like what you said, we don't have underground parking. Like, so all units that you see, the parking is always going to be like from floor 0 to 6 or 7.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's quick. It's quick too. It's like I've seen buildings go up in like a year. like
Crazy.
massive, like 30-story buildings. So it's
So
quick,
like,
1 to 2 years, I would say.
okay. And that's kind of the same thing with that pre-construction. So pre-construction, you put down, I think you
Yeah.
said 10% was the minimum down?
Yes, 10% when you sign the contract. The total for a foreigner is 30% down payment, but
Okay.
you have you can structure that from when you sign the contract to when you get to deliver the keys.
Okay. So what's the most common payment structure for a give me like, I want to buy a condo that's 150,000. What would like my
Yeah.
payment structure that would be favorable to me or an investor look like?
Yeah. Okay, so you do
You don't need to give me real numbers.
$2,000.
I caught you off guard
Do
there.
I have to give you real
No, no, no,
numbers?
no, no, no,
No. Okay.
no.
Okay. It would be every like quarter, I would say they would want you to make a payment
Okay.
towards that down payment.
Got it. So
And like I said, like
yeah.
they'll work with you. Like you can structure really like whatever type of plan you want. Most developers will work with you to make sure it's something that works for you and for them.
Cool.
But
Interesting.
it's usually like by this date, typically like every quarter. By this quarter, we want this much by this quarter, and it's usually depending on the value of the property. Obviously, less the 10% you already paid. It's whatever.
When you guys like, is it common there to have listing agents? Like, do you guys have is it common to have two agents in a transaction if the client were to purchase an existing property? Is it like Canada?
Yes, but there are no like there's you sign a contract with that agent and like they are selling your home. It's like that's not how it works here. Like a seller might have like 5 people listing their house and it's like you're fighting like dogs and yeah, it's not that structured.
It's the same in Mexico. Like, it's actually, because there is no MLS here, when people contact me to do resale, it is challenging, and the best route for them to go is to contact multiple agents, which is like so counterintuitive, because usually it's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not doing this unless you sign. But it's the same in Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things. It's like, if you send an email out to your database and somebody wants it and then they take it, and it's not like it doesn't take you a lot of effort, like the difference between the amount of effort when you're trying to sell a listing that's yours, like in Toronto, it's your listing, it's your responsibility to sell it versus kind of, elsewhere. It's like, if it sells, it sells.
Understood.
Before we finish up, has there been like much growth in like price in Panama? Like what's happened? I know, like Dave kind of started by asking about people moving there during COVID and stuff like that. Was there much impact that happened on price or rents as a result of that?
Not price, not really. Like there was a bit of a dip during like 2021, 2022, during like right in the middle of the pandemic, but it's been pretty steady. Like resale price hasn't really changed. The rent has. I experienced this like firsthand, the difference between when I came to Panama in 2023 and rented a place like versus now. That same place probably has gone up like 10-15%, just the rental price. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sales look like 2024 was like a record year since 2008 as well. Like you were saying, like there's tons of people buying there, 10,000 home sales.
There's tons of people coming in. It's really wild. It's really wild to see, honestly.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. It seems like the economy is pretty stable too. Like inflation's not necessarily out of control compared to like a lot of the Western world. Cool.
Wait,
Dave,
one more
any other
question.
questions? Or
Go. I go. What's the cost of living there? I know it's obviously cheaper than Canada. Well, like Toronto.
Yeah.
But give me like some examples of like what a groceries cost. All that kind. What is the cost of living?
Yeah, it's pretty affordable. It's very easy to spend a lot of money in Panama City. Like you have to be mindful of where you shop. Like I talked about this on my like TikTok, I think, because some people will say to me, Panama's really expensive. It's like, well, where are you shopping? Like go to the local market. You're gonna get, I also said this because I can't believe it. Like I got 10 pieces of tuna steak. The tuna was caught that morning for like $20.
Wow.
So if you shop where the locals shop, you're going to save a lot of money. You're going to see your money stretch like much further. But yeah, groceries, like you could get fruit for like 3 weeks for like $14 US.
Wow. It's the same in Mexico. I think people make that mistake. They go to like the most commercialized place, and then they say, oh,
Yeah,
it's super expensive. It's like, well,
exactly. It's like, well, like, no, you have to go where the locals shop. Like, like the locals aren't going to these big box stores. Like, they're
right.
going to the local markets. They're going, to Jose's like fruit stand. Like, they're not going to the big stores.
Yeah, I get it. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
We appreciate you, honestly. Thanks so much for coming on. And folks,
Thank
you got
you
any
guys.
more questions?
No, yeah, if anybody wants to reach you, where would you recommend that they do that? Like if somebody hears
Yes.
this and wants to buy a property in Panama and Airbnb it, like
Yeah.
how do
Amazing.
they
Yeah.
give you a shout?
Yeah, you can. My email is just my first name. Make sure you put 2 N's at offshorecircle.com. I get that mistake a lot. People are like, I emailed you, but you spelled my name wrong.
Just got to get
And
the other
then,
one as a forwarding address and then
Yeah.
forward it to your email. Just
yeah,
say
you know what? Why haven't I thought of that?
it's a good idea.
That's a really good idea. I'm going to do that.
Done. I won't charge you
Yeah,
for
that's
that
my
one.
email. And then I'm on social media too as at the Panama Girl, so you can follow me there. I'm trying to be as active as I can, getting some inspiration from you, Dave, out in Mexico.
Thank you.
The
You're doing an
Mexico
amazing
boy.
job. Yeah, I'm gonna change mine to a Mexico guy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Unreal. Cool. Yeah. Well, really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much,
we'll put all
guys.
your contact info and links to your socials in the show notes if anybody
Perfect.
wants to reach you. Really appreciate your time, and
Lovely.
can't wait to chat again on what's going on in Panama and how many deals
Yes,
you've
me
done
too.
with people from the show in a couple of months.
Yes, we'll have to talk about this for sure.
For sure. Thanks.
Thank you.